President Obama fights back against his critics here at home the moment he chastises a reporter on live TV, saying you should know better. Breaking news tonight, new video of El Chapo in his cell moments before disappearing through that hole in the shower. And now the birds reportedly discovered, did he use them to test the air quality in that mile-long tunnel? The video authorities did not want the public to see the unarmed man shot and killed, the multi-million-dollar settlement, and American taxpayers paying for these moments under growing scrutiny. The mystery baby who remains found near a major American airport, more than 50 million views. Late today, the new plea. And the surprise tonight on Pluto. The first pictures coming in now. Even NASA wasn't expecting this.
From ABC News World Headquarters, this is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Wednesday night. Several developing stories, and first tonight, the president fighting back after that history-making deal with Iran. Tonight, taking on his critics at home and around the world, defending the deal with Iran, that country now agreeing to sharply cut back its nuclear program, submitting to inspections. The crippling U.S.-led sanctions will now be lifted. But tonight here, you will hear from one of his most vocal critics, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, telling me that America is less safe because of this. But first, our chief White House correspondent Jonathan Karl with the tense moments during that news conference.
The president came before the cameras ready to aggressively push back on efforts in Congress to kill his Iran deal.
It looks like a large majority will vote to reject this deal. Do you have any concerns about seeing a majority of the people's representatives in Congress saying that this is a bad deal?
There really are only two alternatives here. Either the issue of Iran obtaining a nuclear weapon is resolved diplomatically through a negotiation, or it's resolved through force, through war. Those are the options.
The president bristled when asked about the 4 Americans who are still either imprisoned or missing in Iran: a reporter, a Marine veteran, an evangelical pastor, and a retired FBI agent.
Can you tell the country, sir, why you are content with all the fanfare around this deal to leave the conscience of this nation unaccounted for in relation to these 4 Americans?
The notion that I'm content as I celebrate with American citizens languishing in Iranian jails, Major, that's nonsense. And you should know better.
And John Karl with us live from the White House. John, you and I were both watching as the president also said to his critics on Iran, what I haven't heard is, what are your alternatives? And John, he's not the only one making this case.
That's right. The president dispatched Vice President Biden to Capitol Hill today to meet with Democrats in the House to convince them not to abandon the president on this. And David, I am told by senior officials here at the White House, this is just the beginning of a full court press to build support in Congress, featuring Biden, Secretary of State John Kerry, and other members of his national security team.
All right, John Karl leading us off. And John, as you know, the vice president trying to convince critics behind the scenes. One person they will not convince, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who told me today, I should say, in blunt fashion, that he believes the inspections have major holes. He points to a 24-day warning that will come from inspectors. Mr. Prime Minister, you're aware of what President Obama has said, that, quote, this deal is not built on trust, it is built on verification, and that if Iran violates the deal, all of those crippling sanctions you speak of will snap back into place.
Well, I read the deal, and I respect President Obama, but I looked at the deal, and I think something else comes out. I think the inspection regime is full of holes, because instead of having instant inspections, say within 24 hours, Iran has 24 days to open up suspect sites. 24 days. Imagine giving a drug dealer 24 days. This isn't going to work. It's like, it's North Korea, really.
You spoke with President Obama. What did you say to him?
Look, we always have respectful conversations because I respect the president, and I think he respects me, and we have an honest disagreement. That can happen.
And on that 24-day concern, President Obama saying today the U.S. will have 24/7 monitoring of known nuclear facilities, that the 24-day notion involves suspicious hidden locations that might arise. The president saying it would be nearly impossible for the Iranians to hide a nuclear facility in such a short time. The president started by tackling criticism over his Iran deal, but ended up making news on a much different story. Eye-opening comments about Bill Cosby. accused of drugging women, sexually abusing them, asked whether Cosby's Medal of Freedom should be taken away. The president saying there's no precedent for that, saying he doesn't usually comment on cases like these, but he then said this.
If you give a woman, or a man for that matter, without his or her knowledge, a drug, and then have sex with that person without consent, that's rape.
The president never mentioning Cosby by name. We move on tonight. The major new developments in the search for one of the most dangerous criminals in the world, El Chapo. We have stunning new images from inside his prison cell moments before he disappeared. And tonight here, we take you inside the mile-long tunnel that carried El Chapo to freedom. There are also new reports. Investigators want to know if El Chapo used birds to test the air quality in that tunnel before the escape. ABC's Gio Benitez in Mexico again tonight.
This is the last look at Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, moments before his prison escape. Watch as he paces back and forth in the cell, checking out the shower floor, taking off the tracking bracelet, monitoring his every move, going right back to that shower and disappearing through the floor. So well planned, he escaped through what authorities say is the blind spot in his cell. There even appears to be an electronic device next to his bed. Where he went? Through this underground tunnel, 30 feet below ground. This modified motorcycle used to move dirt and build that tunnel. He ended up right here at this half-built house. We got a first-hand look at the tunnel.
All right, we're inside.
The first room equipped with this giant generator to power lights in the tunnel, equipment that helped El Chapo make his great escape.
This is the house where he just walked into and disappeared.
And here on the ground in Mexico, several officers have told us off camera that they may never find El Chapo again. David?
Gio Benitez reporting in from Mexico again tonight. Gio, thank you. We turn now to California this evening, and video authorities did not want the public to see. Dash cam video showing 3 unarmed men, their hands in the air, officers with their guns drawn. Police opening fire when one of them lowers his arms. The case is from 2013, the video just coming to light, settled for nearly $5 million. ABC senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas on how taxpayers are paying these massive settlements.
The video disturbing. An unarmed man fatally shot after 3 police officers confronted his friends over the report of a stolen bicycle.
The first time I saw the video, I cried.
Ricardo Diaz Zeferino was shot 8 times after he was repeatedly told by the police officers to keep his hands in the air. But he does not follow police orders, at different points dropping his hands. The 3rd time he did so, taking off his cap and holding his palms out, police started firing. But no weapon was discovered, and the city decided to pay $4.7 million to settle a lawsuit. The police in the city of Gardena, California, actively fought the video's release. But it was disclosed this week after a federal judge said the public had a right to see the video, even if it was embarrassing to the police. Zeferino's family devastated. His brother says Zeferino was just trying to help him find his stolen bike.
He was a good brother because he was supporting my parents and my sister. He was working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
The video's release came just a day after New York City agreed to pay the family of Eric Garner more than $5 million in connection with his choking death. In recent years, cities throughout this country have paid hundreds of millions of dollars to settle lawsuits involving allegations of police misconduct. New York City and Chicago each paying out over $400 million.
And Pierre is with us now. Pierre, even though the victim's family has settled in the case, they're now calling for a new investigation.
That's right. The family is asking the Justice Department to open a civil rights investigation, and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles is reviewing the case. David?
Pierre Thomas with us live tonight. Pierre, thank you. We turn now to that urgent plea late today about the little girl at the heart of a cold case. Baby Doe, as she's being called, her remains discovered near Logan Airport in Boston. This computer-generated composite photo of the little girl, now viewed more than 53 million times, her identity, her killer, a mystery. And tonight, authorities going before the cameras a short time ago with a new plea. Here's ABC's Ron Claiborne.
It is heartbreaking. A police computer-generated composite photo of what the little girl may have looked like. Ever since her body washed ashore nearly 3 weeks ago, the Boston area has been blanketed with posters appealing for information. So far, nothing. Now desperate for a break in the case, authorities today set up a special telephone tip line and an anonymous text line.
All we want to do right now is identify this child. And someone out there can do it with one call or one text message.
Investigators have little to go on. Who she was, her family, not even how she died. An autopsy was inconclusive. All that's known is that she was found wearing white leggings with black polka dots and with a zebra print blanket. Since then, a Facebook posting with her image has been seen by 53 million people, stirring outpourings of grief. One person writing, "She is an angel in heaven. I hope they catch the person who did this to an angel." Tonight, investigators saying they are concerned that if there are other children in the little girl's family, they too could be in danger. Police say the person most likely to know the little girl's identity is a parent or a caregiver. Tonight, this emotional plea from law enforcement: examine your conscience and look into your heart and tell us who she is. David?
Ron Claiborne with us tonight. Ron, thank you. We are learning new details tonight about a massive drug bust in Texas. 46 people, charges from money laundering to smuggling hard drugs, cocaine, meth, heroin, right through Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. At least 2 suspects, workers at companies inside the airport or with contacts inside the airport, accused of helping get drugs past airport security. Those drugs then allegedly smuggled onto commercial flights and to cities across the country. We turn now to the severe weather. 7 million in the storm zone tonight from Kansas to Georgia. 5 reported tornadoes in 24 hours. Those storms now on the move, leaving a path of destruction in its wake. Just take a look. A massive bolt of lightning there in Marietta, Georgia, striking the top of that light pole. Sparks there flying. This tornado touching down about an hour east of Nashville. And now the new threat tonight, those storms hitting right now. ABC's chief meteorologist Ginger Z here with the track. Ginger.
We have quite a dynamic atmosphere tonight. The leftovers of that same cold front that has done so much damage, almost 900 severe storm reports in the last 48 hours. And look, from Little Rock to just north of Tallahassee to Savannah, Georgia, still storms firing up. Wanted to focus in on a computer model for tonight. Much of Kansas into Des Moines, Iowa, going to look for some heavy rains, large hail, even some damaging winds overnight. Then there's Hurricane Dolores. It's a Category 3. It's in the Pacific. It's staying there, so it is not going to hit land. But the moisture from that going to force more thunderstorms in parts of New Mexico and Arizona, and rough surf for Southern California.
All right, Ginger Z with us tonight. Ginger, thank you. Around the world tonight and to new images out of Greece at this hour. Violent protests in the streets there as Greece's parliament votes on strict new austerity rules, a condition of that tentative deal struck earlier this week that would keep Greece in the Eurozone. Protesters right there throwing Molotov cocktails at police, the police using tear gas on those crowds, a developing situation there. In Germany tonight, Oskar Groening, a former guard at Auschwitz, the notorious Nazi death camp, convicted on 300,000 counts of accessory to murder. The 94-year-old, known as the accountant of Auschwitz, sentenced to 4 years in prison. He's expected to be one of the last Nazis to face a trial. The judge saying tonight, even after 70 years, there can still be justice. Back here at home tonight, Planned Parenthood under fire after this new video shot by an anti-abortion rights group, which seems to show one of their executives discussing a controversial policy over fetal tissue. Anti-abortion rights groups accusing Planned Parenthood of selling that tissue for a profit. Planned Parenthood maintains it is donated for scientific research, saying they are only reimbursed for expenses. Tonight, 2 House committees and at least 2 states now opening investigations. We'll stay on it. Next tonight here, new headlines emerging every day from California's so-called Gone Girl case. Police first saying the victim and her boyfriend staged their kidnapping. Then the arrest of a suspect. Authorities now warning there may be more victims. ABC's Cecilia Vega on the investigation.
Tonight, new details about the alleged mastermind accused of plotting that stranger-than-fiction kidnapping. 38-year-old Matthew Mueller spent 4 years in the Marines, serving in the Middle East and Japan. He was a sergeant, a trumpet player, and tonight his lawyer says Mueller suffered from bipolar disorder for years.
It sounds to me like you're setting yourself and your client up for an insanity defense.
It's certainly something we're going to think about.
Tonight, police investigating whether Mueller could be behind as many as 4 Northern California home invasions. Last month, Mueller arrested accused of breaking into a house in the middle of the night, and police in 2 other nearby cities say Mueller may have terrorized families there too.
He restrained her, blindfolded her, and threatened to rob her and sexually assault her.
The stories all eerily similar to what happened inside that Vallejo home, a masked intruder tying up and blindfolding his victims.
As for Denise Huskins and Aaron Quinn, their lawyers telling me they are happy the public finally realizes they were victims, that this was no hoax. David, they say they just want